Every town has a secret, but ours had something worse. A man who never moved, never spoke, just watched. And the day Joy stopped to speak to him, everything changed. People thought he was mad. Others said he was cursed. But what do you think? Is he a human being? Did he has home or family members? Stay tuned and know what really happened. Every morning before the sun hit the dusty road, he was already there, sitting beneath the old mango tree, legs folded like broken wood, eyes fixed on nothing and everything at once. His face never smiled, his mouth never begged. Yet people left coins beside him, like trying to pay off guilt. Some whispered, some laughed. Some children ran past him like he was a game of dare. Nobody knew his name. Nobody cared to ask. But one girl changed that. Her name was Joy. Now, you have to ask yourself, what would make a poor food hawker stop for a man no one else would even look at? And even more importantly, what did she awaken the moment she did? Because Michael, yes, that was his real name, had a story no one was ready for. It was a market day, the kind where the air smelled like fried pepper and noise echoed from every direction. Joy was pushing her barrow, sweat dripping from her forehead, her tired hands gripping the wooden sides like she was carrying her whole life on wheels. Then she saw him. That man again, that same spot under the mango tree. She paused just for a second, and in that second she made a decision. A simple act of kindness that would tear open everything she thought she knew about love, pain, and who was truly watching her life from the shadows. Before we talk about the stranger under the mango tree, who is Joy? Because this story isn't just about a man no one knew. It's about a girl who had every reason to break but chose to rise instead. Joy was only 13 years old when her father died. And when I say died, I don't mean he faded quietly into the night. No, he left like a storm, sudden and cruel, swept away by a sickness that had no name and showed no mercy. He was buried before she could even ask where he went. From that day on, her world became small, just her and her mother. They lived in a little mud house with a leaking roof and a cracked door that squeaked every time the wind passed through. No one else lived there. No one else visited. But every morning before the sky turned blue, her mother would rise. By 4 a.m., she was already in the kitchen, cooking rice, beans, porridge, yam. The smell would drift through the air and wake Joy like an alarm clock. And every single day her mother would call her in, not to help, just to sit, just to talk. She would kneel down, hold Joy's hands tightly in her rough, hot palms and whisper the same words. Joy, you're all I have left. You're my only hope. I've lost everything else, your father, my dreams, my peace, but you're still here. I will work, I will fight, I will bleed if I have to, but promise me one thing, Joy. Promise me you'll never disappoint me. And every time Joy would look into her mother's tired, hopeful eyes and say, Mummy, I'll make you proud. I'll bring joy to your life. I'm your child of consolation. I will not disappoint you, Mama. For everything they have taken away from you because you have no male child, Mama, I will give you double. Mama, don't cry, I will take care of you. She meant it. She meant it with every piece of her heart. That's why even though she was only 15 now, Joy worked like she was 30. After her mother cooked, Joy would load the steaming food into a rusty metal barrel, the kind with one wobbly wheel and sides that groaned under weight. She would roll it across the village, from one dusty path to another, selling to anyone who indicates interest. She didn't complain. She didn't cry. Even when the sun burned her back or the boys from the village mocked her and called her names like Barrow Girl, she kept going because she had made a promise. And some promises are more sacred than blood. But on that day, something shifted. She had just sold food to a group of construction workers when she turned the barrow around and began rolling toward the market square. And then she saw him, the man under the mango tree. Again, same spot, same face, same silence. People walked past him like he didn't exist. Some dropped money out of pity. Some spat beside him out of disgust. But Joy, she stopped. She didn't even know why. Maybe it was the way he looked at nothing, like he was watching ghosts. Or maybe it was the way his clothes clung to him like second skin, torn and old but arranged so neatly, like he still had pride buried somewhere inside. For a full minute, she just stood there. Then, without a word, she picked one of her hot food plates, knelt down beside him and placed it at his feet. He didn't move. He didn't say thank you. He didn't even blink. But Joy smiled. Because somehow in that moment she didn't see a beggar. She didn't see a madman. She saw something else, something her spirit couldn't explain. And as she pushed her barrow away, her heart beat louder than before. She didn't know it yet, but her life had just changed. Before the food selling, before the barrow, before the mango tree, there was a time Joy and her mother had more than just struggle. Her father, Mr. Ize, was a quiet man, a teacher, the kind who gave without waiting for thank you. He wasn't rich, but with his little salary from the village primary school, he fed not just his wife and daughter, but his extended family too. His younger brother, Sunday, Sunday's wife, Sunday's children, they all lived together in the house Mr. Ease built with his own hands. When harvest time came, it was Mr. Ease's hands in the soil. When the children fell sick, it was Mr. Ease who bought the medicine. When Sunday was jobless, it was Mr. Ease who still shared his plate. They lived off his kindness. But when Mr. Asa died, that kindness was forgotten like yesterday's rain. One morning, weeks after the funeral, Joy's mother, Mama Joy, woke up before dawn. Her plan was simple. Go to the small cassava farm her husband had left behind, harvest what little was there, and use it to feed her child. She carried a sack, tied her wrapper tightly around her waist, and walked through the bush path with her heart full of silent prayers. But when she got there, the farm was gone, completely cleared. The cassava, the sticks, even the footprints gone like it had never existed. She stood there frozen, her mouth dry, her eyes wide. Then she turned around and ran, all the way back to the family house. She stormed into the compound, her feet slapping the earth, and found Sunday sitting under the veranda with a toothpick in his mouth. Sunday! Sunday, where is the cassava from my husband's farm? Sunday looked up slowly like he was bored. Then he laughed, a short, dry, wicked laugh. Woman, which farm? The one my brother left behind. Is that not family land? You think because he married you it belongs to you? You don't have a male child, so the land belongs to me. Joy's mother stepped forward, trembling. But Sunday, you know that was all I had left. Even you know he left that farm for me and Joy. Sunday stood. Listen, woman, your husband is gone, and this is now my land. You are not family. Pack your things and leave. She couldn't believe it. He didn't just take the farm. That same day, he told them to vacate the house too, the very house her husband built, where Joy had taken her first steps. She begged, she cried, she knelt in front of Sunday's wife, but all they gave her was silence and a locked door. They pushed them out, just like that. No room, no roof, no food. And that night, that was the first night Joy ever slept outside. The stars were not beautiful that night. The wind was not cool. It was cruel. The hunger was sharp. And her mother cried for the first time Joy had ever seen. For 3 days, they wondered. People turned their heads when they knocked. Sorry, oh, things are hard, they were told again and again. Until one evening, as they walked past the edge of the village, Joy's mother saw something, an old mud house with cracked walls and spider webs like curtains. It had been abandoned for years. The thatch roof was patchy, the floor was bare ground, but it had 4 walls, and that night it became home. There was no bed, they slept on a mat, there was no stove. Her mother cooked outside with firewood. There was no door, just a curtain. But somehow in that broken place, they found peace. Because even though the world had rejected them, they had each other. And from that moment, Mama Joy made a decision. She would never beg again. She would rise. She would sell food. She would feed her daughter and fight for her future with her bare hands, no matter what. They say you can smell kindness in food. But with Joy, it wasn't just the food. It was her smile. A kind of smile that didn't make sense. Because behind it was hunger. Behind it was pain. Behind it was a mud house with a leaking roof and no electricity, but still she smiled. Every morning before the sun rose, Mama Joy would wake first. She'd light the fire, tie her scarf, and start boiling water. Rice, beans, yam. Sometimes, if they were lucky, they'd add stew made from dried fish and leftover pepper. By 5:30 a.m., Joy would join her, rubbing sleep from her eyes, greeting her mother with a quiet, tired, "Good morning, Mama," and immediately helping her fan the flames. She had stopped going to school 2 years earlier. It wasn't by choice. Her uniform had torn. Her books were old. And when teachers began to send her home for unpaid fees, she finally stopped going altogether. Nobody stepped in. No one offered help. So she picked up her mother's hustle instead. By 6:30 a.m., the food would be ready, hot, steaming, neatly packed into coolers. They would load everything into the wheelbarrow. Then Joy would dust off her hands, straighten her scarf, and head out with one thing her mother always reminded her to carry. Her smile. That smile became her weapon. It pulled people in. Children liked buying from her because she always added an extra spoon. The bricklayers liked her because she called them Olga and greeted them with respect. The old women by the roadside called her my daughter and saved her a spot under the mango tree before she even arrived. Everywhere Joy went, people noticed her. Not because she was loud, not because she was flashy, but because she was genuinely kind. And when people asked her, "Why are you always smiling?" she would just laugh and say, "Because crying doesn't put food on my table." Even though deep down she had many reasons to cry. Each time she passed the school gate and saw students in uniform, her chest would tighten. Each time she saw her age mates carrying books instead of food trays, something in her heart would ache. But she never let it show. Instead, she focused on helping her mother. Some days they made enough to eat. Other days they only had watery curry and groundnut at night. But no matter what, she never gave up, never complained, never let anyone see her sadness. One evening, as she returned home after selling everything, her mother hugged her at the door and whispered, "My Joy, do you know you are the reason people call our food joy in a bowl?" Joy laughed. She didn't think she was doing anything special. She was just trying to survive. But something strange was about to happen. Something that would test everything she believed about kindness, about trust, and about who she was feeding every day. At first, Joy didn't think much of it. The man under the mango tree was just there, like the tree itself, rooted, silent, unnoticed by most. But day after day, no matter the weather, he never left. Rain poured, he sat there drenched. The sun scorched, he never moved an inch. Flies buzzed around him. Ants crawled past his bare feet. Still, he remained. Joy started wondering, was he even real? She once watched him from afar quietly just to see if he would blink. He didn't. She looked away for a second, and when she looked back, his head had turned ever so slightly, facing her. Her heart skipped. Was he watching her now? She shook it off, told herself not to be silly. He's just a poor beggar, maybe even mad. But the next morning, when she placed food beside him and started to walk away, she heard something that made her freeze. "Thank you." His voice was gravelly, like old wood scraping stone. She turned around slowly. He hadn't moved. His head was still bowed, but she heard it, clear as day. That was the first time he'd ever spoken. Joy wanted to ask him who he was, where he came from, why he never moved, but something about his presence made her uneasy. Like if she said the wrong thing, everything around her would unravel, so she nodded quietly and walked away. But from that day, strange things began to happen. The next morning, one of her regular customers, the mechanic with the bad leg, waved her down. "Joy! That rice you gave me yesterday, my leg, it's not hurting anymore. Slept like a baby. First time in years." Joy smiled, thinking it was just a coincidence. But then the old teacher, who hadn't spoken in months, suddenly stood up from his porch and greeted her as she passed. "Bless you, Joy. Your light shines brighter now." Brighter? What did that mean? Then the woman at the corner shop called her over. "Joy, are you doing something new with the beans? They taste like something sacred." That night, Joy told her mother about the man. Mama paused. "A man under the mango tree? What man?" Joy blinked. "He's always been there. You've passed him before." Her mother frowned. "I haven't seen anyone under that tree." Joy went quiet. Has no one else really noticed him? Was it just her? And then the dream started. The same one. Every night. She was standing in the middle of a field alone, holding her food cooler, and from the trees a voice whispered her name over and over again. "Joy, Joy, Joy." But no matter where she turned, she saw no one. Until one night she woke up and found a mango leaf on her bed. She hadn't gone near the tree that day. She hadn't even sold near that part of the village. Each time Joy walked away, Michael felt a tightening in his chest. It wasn't pain exactly, it was guilt, and something deeper. A quiet storm he had kept hidden beneath the stillness of his fake condition. He sat under that mango tree every day, watching her retreat with her tray now half empty, her slim frame cutting across the dusty road like hope in motion. And each time he asked himself the same thing: how much longer can I lie to her? Because this girl wasn't like the others he had met in his former world, the city girls with polished nails and practiced smiles. Joy didn't pretend. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She simply was. And that was what made it so hard to keep pretending. Michael clenched his fist once she was out of sight. His wheelchair creaked softly as he adjusted his legs that worked just fine. Every fake movement he made had become heavier than the last. He remembered his father's words. Find someone who will love you for you, not for what you own or who you are on paper. But Joy, she already did, and he wasn't sure if he deserved it. That afternoon when she returned with his usual plate of rice and beans, she noticed something in his face. A tension, a kind of distant sadness. She knelt down beside him like she always did, her soft voice cutting through the silence. You didn't eat all your food yesterday, she said gently. I wasn't very hungry, Michael replied, avoiding her eyes. Joy tilted her head. You look like you didn't sleep either. He gave a small smile. You notice everything. I try to, she said, then added with a playful smirk, but don't flatter yourself. It's part of being a food seller. He chuckled. Then his tone shifted, suddenly serious. Joy, can I ask you something? She nodded. Did you go to school? Her eyes flickered, then softened. I did. I was actually very good at it. What happened? She gave a small sigh. My father died when I was in JSS 3. We had nobody, no brothers, no uncles willing to help. Just my mother and I. Michael watched her, quiet. I had to stop school. My mother was struggling to even buy gari. I told her that instead of waiting for someone to rescue us, we'll rescue ourselves. She looked up at him, her voice steady. I told her one day, she'll smile again, that everything they took from her just because she had no son, I'll give it back in a bigger way. Michael felt something shift in his chest. He was expecting a simple answer, not this quiet fire. That's why I wake up early, she continued. That's why I sell food in the hot sun, sometimes walking for hours. It's not just for survival, it's for my mother, for her joy. Silence stretched between them for a moment. Not awkward, just deep. Michael swallowed hard. Can I know more about you? Joy blinked. Like what? Like, what makes you laugh? What makes you angry? What makes you you? She smiled, the corners of her eyes lighting up. You want to know who I am? Yes, he said. Then come again tomorrow. Bring an empty stomach and ears that are ready to listen. And with that, she stood and walked away, balancing her tray like a dancer under the sun. Michael sat still, his heart heavier now, but also more certain. He couldn't keep lying to her much longer. Because Joy wasn't just a girl who brought him food. She was becoming something much more. In villages like theirs, silence was rare, and secrets even rarer. Two women standing beside a well pretending to draw water while leaning in too closely. A man under a mango tree chuckling over his bowl of pepper soup. Young girls giggling behind market stalls. Have you seen how close that Joy girl is with the crippled man? She even kneels beside him like she's praying to him. Her own dawn finish. Soon it wasn't just whispers anymore. It was laughter, loud, sharp, and cruel. Some came directly to her. One morning, as Joy was setting her food trays by the roadside, a middle-aged woman passing by paused and scoffed. You still they do that your charity work? She asked, arms folded. Joy looked up. Good morning, ma. Charity no they build house oh, the woman sneered. See as fine girl like you they waste for one place. Others they find man way go lift them. Your own na man way no even fit lift himself. People laughed. Joy kept her eyes on her tray. Another time, three boys passing the food stall pointed at Michael and burst out laughing. Now so love they blind? One shouted. She want marry him like that? She never tire for poverty. Another added, loud enough for everyone to hear. It be like saying a generational thing. That evening, Joy came home quietly. Her mother was in the corner of their small kitchen, grinding pepper with the stone mortar. She turned when Joy dropped the tray and slumped into the plastic chair. There was silence for a moment, filled only by the distant chirping of crickets and the grinding stone. They're talking, Joy finally said. Her voice was low, tired. Her mother didn't ask who, she didn't need to. I went to the market today, Joy continued. A woman selling tomatoes told me I should use my beauty wisely, that a crippled man won't feed me. Her mother rinsed her hands and came to sit beside her. Are they wrong? Joy asked, eyes full of quiet pain. Am I stupid? Her mother looked at her for a long moment, then gently touched her arm. I was once like you, she said softly. Young, hopeful. People mocked me too for marrying your father, said he had no future, but he gave me love, Joy. The kind that made every hardship feel like a season, something that would pass. Joy didn't speak. People will talk whether you marry a crippled man or a king. They'll always find something. What matters is what you see when you look at him. Joy turned to her. But he hasn't said anything, Mama. He never talks about love. I don't even know how he feels about me. Her mother smiled faintly. Then maybe he's the one who's scared. Maybe he's the one who thinks you'll walk away if he tells you the truth. Joy blinked. Her mother leaned closer, her voice lower now. Follow your heart, my daughter, not their noise. If it breaks, it breaks. But if it doesn't, you'll have something they'll never understand. Joy sat still, the words sinking in. That night, she lay on her mat and stared at the ceiling, trying to understand the ache in her chest. It wasn't just the mockery, it was the confusion, the waiting, the not knowing. Does he feel it too? Or am I just the girl who brings him food? Outside, the wind picked up. A lone dog barked in the distance. Somewhere in the village, someone was probably still gossiping. But inside that little room, Joy made a quiet decision. Watch out for part 2, where Joy made a dangerous decision that turned everything.